Okay. All right. So the problem we're going to work on is Blackjack. Here is the Blackjack website. I'm just going to refresh here. And I have my network tab open to kind of take a look at what's going on HTTP-wise. In order to get the flag from this site, what you need to do is win 3 times in a row, win the game 3 times in a row. And the approach we decided to take, not 3 times in a row, but 3 times. So the approach we decided to take was to continuously essentially hit this deal button until we win 3 games in a row. So we make a request to get to this site. We make requests to hit this deal button. Let's see what the what hitting the deal button actually does. So start from the beginning. I hit deal.
Are you trying to share a screen?
I am not sharing my screen.
No worries.
So here's the web app. If I hit deal, we get this, we create this 200 request here. If we look at the headers of it, it is to blackjack.runcode.ninja/bj.php. So when we hit this button, we're not making a request to blackjack.runcode.ninja. We're making a post request to blackjack.runcode.ninja/bj.php. And it's a post method. So let's take a look at what's inside the body of this post. It appears there's some form data, key value pair, that is do what deal. So our approach then on this app is to make a request to this app. So we load it up, use cookies so that we are constantly remembered every time we make the request, and continue to send this post request that hits deal until we get 3 wins, until we get the flag to appear on this screen in the response text. Okay, so here's the code I started to write. I just have a shebang right here. So we know we're going to import sys, so we can take in arguments from the command line. I'm going to import requests so that we can use Python to easily make requests. Okay, now I said we're going to need to use cookies to maintain persistence so that this web app remembers who we are, right? Because it needs to remember we get 3 wins. That means it needs to remember, who we were before. So in order to do that, we're going to use the sessions that's available here. If we look right here on the original docs, you can see it's one of the top features of it, sessions with cookie persistence, and it's very easy to use. So let's take a look at the quick start. I think it's session objects. So here's the syntax for it. We can create a session object by using the request.session method. It returns a session object, and you have many of the same methods that you had before when we were just using requests, like get, put, post. Then we won't have to worry about the cookies. As long as we keep using that session, we'll be sending the same cookies. It'll remember who we are. Okay, so let's do that. Use a session to maintain state. Persistence. We'll just say state. I'm not a speller. Okay, so let's take a look at what the syntax is. There's this syntax where you just create a session object. And there's, where's that with syntax? You can also use it with this context manager. So just like how we would open files and then you'd ask, hey, how aren't we supposed to close them? Well, if you use that syntax, it would close it automatically. Same idea here. We'll close the session automatically once we exit the with block of code. So let's do that. Let's create our session. With requests session as S. Okay, so we're going to refer to S as our session. Okay, so the first thing we said we needed to do was to actually visit the site, which was that first GET request here. The GET request to blackjack.runcode.ninja. And where do we get that? Well, we get that from the command line. We should maybe put that in here. Equals sys.argv1. I'm kind of just designing this like free form, right? I'm not planning so much. I'm just saying, oh yeah, I kind of needed that URL. So, well, here's where I can get it. That's where I was using sys, okay? So now we have that URL. What do we need to do? Well, the first thing I said was make this first GET request here. So let's make that. We'll say the response to that first GET request is session.get to the URL. Okay, that's all we did. This is the same thing as telling Python, just click this, send a GET request here. That's this. Okay, it's going to do all this and get all this response. And what we want to do is what? What do we want to do now? I've been doing a lot of talking. Who else is here? What do I want to do now? You know, it doesn't have to tell me in order, just things that I do need to do. And maybe I'll just start writing them down.
We need to press the deal button.
You need to press the deal button, right? All right, so let's write that in there. Press the deal button. All right, and essentially that is when we hit this, we deal, right? So we're making that post request. We're gonna have to make that post request. Now the things that are, the small things that make this, I guess, a bit more complicated are that if we look closely again, where's that post request? It's not going to blackjack.runcode.ninja. It's going to blackjack.runcode.ninja/bj.php. It's a different endpoint that we're sending this request to. So it's important that we consider that. So we'll say, call it post URL. We could call it blackjack URL, maybe, is equal to, let's use F strings because I like them. It's equal to the URL /bj.php. Okay, cool. So we're making that GET request. We have the new URL. We want to press the deal button. Okay, so let's press the deal button. What do we have to do to press the deal button? We send a post request with these parameters in there. So if I want to know how to add parameters to a post request, I would just go to my documentation. I could just Google that same query too, like how to add parameters to post requests, but I'm going to try and look exactly where in the documentation it'll tell me. So maybe I'll just do a quick Control F post. Here it looks like it is. Here's prepared requests. What do we want to do? Nope. Ouch, that was loud. Oh, this is because we're on session objects. So quick start, make a request, more complicated post request, maybe this. Here we go. Here's how you would do it. We want a post request that has some data attached to it, like most post requests should. And here's how we do it. We set our data as a dictionary of keys and values. And then we just throw that up in there in the post. So let's make our payload. I'll just call it payload. And it is a dictionary that said do what? Deal. And I'm just going to double check that that was exactly what it said. Do underscore what? Deal. Do underscore what? Deal. Cool. So I've got my payload there. Let's press the button, right? So we'll say the response to pressing that button. And again, I'm resetting this. I'm resetting this right here as we do this. So this is a new response from here down. It's equal to s.post the BJ URL and the payload. How was that syntax? it was data equals whatever your variable is. Our variable is payload because it's the same as we're just following what they said. So data equals payload. Okay. So we've pressed that button one time. Right, we've essentially gone to the site, hit this button. That's what we've told our computer program to do right now. What do we want to keep? What do we want to do next? Or tell me what else am I forgetting? What else do we need to do?
I guess a loop will come in play here to keep hitting the button.
Exactly. You don't want to tell me how many times to do it. You just want to say, hey, keep hitting this button until something. If I'm ever speaking English and I'm thinking, hey, keep hitting something until some condition, I'm thinking usually a while loop. If I'm thinking keep doing something until you finish with it, until like, you finish reading all the lines in the file or you finish counting all the numbers, I'm thinking for loop. So in this case, I'm thinking while loop. I'm saying, hey, Python, would you do me a favor? Keep sending these post requests until at the bottom of the screen, until something on the screen says RCN curly brace. That's our cue to stop. Okay, so that means I probably want to put this in a loop. I want to make this line right here, at least this line, repeat itself over and over again, right? That's cool. I hope if okay, cool. So let's put this in here. Oh gosh, is it control arrow? No. Okay, there we go. We'll do it like that. Cool. So we'll put that in a loop and we'll start that here. So we'll say while, I'm just going to put something. Keep making the request. Else, do something else. All right, help me fill this in now.
While not flag.
Okay, we want some kind of logic that says while not flag. So we can look at the text of the response. So we could say while response.text dot find. Is it RCN? Does not equal 1. Does not equal 1. Does not equal -1. So let's see how this would work. While response.text.find, if it finds it, it won't be -1.
Matt, I
So-
think we want while it is -1, while it is false, keep doing it, right?
While response.text.find
Is -1, which is to
is
say,
equal to -1.
while it's not what we want, keep hitting the button.
Okay, let's try. And then we'll keep sending those post requests, which was what line 17 is doing. Keep sending those post requests. All right, what's the other case? What do we want? What's to do something else?
To print the flag
We can print the flag.
or the response.
Yeah, so we can print, let's just print response.text and see what happens here. Hopefully something works, but we'll see. Make it executable. Blackjack, and where are we going to copy this? With request.session as S. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I see. This needs to be invoked. I'll show you. If we go here, what was it? What this? but we said session objects, just so you can see that I know I made a mistake here. Needed to have those parentheses. I was able to quickly tell because I look at my error, it says line 10. I was like, hey, what did I do wrong here on line 10? I forgot those parentheses, so quick debugging. Did I not save this? Okay, something's happening. We're just gonna have to trust it. Response.txt find cn equals -1. I want to text something. I feel like this is a long time. Just want to print. Let's do this. One, print iteration, and so you can see how many times this is actually doing it. But I feel like it shouldn't actually take that long to do.
You can also print the response of it within the while loop to see the state of the game.
Sure, you want to do that? Hey, okay. We can do that. But it looks like it is working. It just took 66 times and I was being impatient. So we should trust ourselves. Okay, do we have any questions on this part? At this part, we would just use that sort of trick that Frank and I had showed you earlier of using find to find where the flag starts and where the flag ends and printing it out. I think that part's kind of boring or not as interesting. I think this part, understanding this part's the meat. What I'd like to do, I think,
Wait, before you move on, Matt, I want to ask a question. I wonder if anybody stumbled across the kind of, there's a cheat, I guess you would call it, for the game. Did anybody stumble across that and they're messing around with it?
Is it related to the No Es Bueno cookie or no?
No, so the No Es Bueno cookie is when you try to play the game but you haven't established a session. So like if you try to send a deal or a hit or a stay but you haven't established a session, you'll get that. But what you can do, so like it takes 60, so if you're just brute forcing it, like the way that we've kind of shown you, just the brute force, just deal, and then
there it is.
Hopefully you get a win. But now, like once you get a winner, if you just hit stay, oh, we go.
Yeah, I got to do it again because 19 is a good hand. All right, then stay,
and one more time.
Ah, damn it. All right. Okay, so you see I have a winning hand. I hit send a stay request. Let's see, I get the flag there.
So if you play around with, and this is like, so next week we'll be starting in the PWK environment, and you need to start just kind of thinking like the this and the web track had you kind of doing things that you weren't supposed to do, or there was the opportunity to do things that you weren't supposed to do. And as we get into red team, you kind of have to have that mindset as well as of kind of looking at application and understanding what the developer wanted you to do, but doing things that you're allowed to do that maybe weren't intended and seeing what the effects of that were. So that's kind of all I just wanted to touch on.
It's like the Matrix. You just bend the rules. So what I wanted to do, in addition to just running this code like that and watching it in the terminal, just print the iteration, was to pull up Wireshark and take a look at how this looks like over Wireshark. That might be kind of interesting. So let's do that.
Can I ask a quick question about what Ray
Absolutely.
was describing? Is it like in the in our code we said basically if the response is the flag, print it. Could we write code that said if the response is winner, send a new signal that's hit the stay button and then print the flag? Is that something? I mean, it'd be probably extensive, but to write that in, is that how you would do that do it in Python? Because we saw the cheat on the site.
Yeah, that's exactly how you would do it.
Oh.
You would deal until you got a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you got a winner, you would just send stay. So just the same way that there's that when you send a deal, you was sending that data that was do what
Yes.
deal, you would send do what stay. But you'd have one, you would essentially the code would be very similar. But on this part where you're not finding the flag, you'd have an extra check to see if you actually won the hand. And if you found winner, then you do stay instead of deal.
I guess what wasn't or wouldn't be necessarily clear to me is that the winner response and the flag response are equivalent. In our code, it's just that it's
They
the response.
aren't. So in a winner response, if I remember correctly, you will get back the hand, the current state of the game, like the dealer's cards and your cards,
Mhm.
but there'll just be like a status of you won or something like that. Well, we can see it in Wireshark when we take a look at it.
All right,
but-
thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So you can see, I just followed the HTTP stream here. You can see that first request we make. That's the first get one. Here's the response that has the entire website here, all in blue. In red, here's our first post request, right, to BJPHP, runcode.ninja. Here's that cookie that got attached to us from the session. And then here's the body of it. You see it's slightly separated, this other syntax, right? But there's the body, do what deal, key value pair. Here's the response. We can actually look at the response. You get the hand value. You get your hand, which is just a list with a dictionary of faces and suits. Each dictionary represents a card, right? And it shows you the dealer's state, and you get a message. And then we just keep doing the same thing. Just send another post request with that same cookie. See, this is the same. And that just keeps happening.
Search in there for winner. Let's see if we get that back or win.
Winner
A
wins.
message, yeah. So this is what it looks like when you win a hand, and then I guess the last one would be the flag. And I think the response from the flag is just there's no winner or anything. It's just the flag.
Yep. All right. We could follow down the whole OSI model essentially here, what port we were making those requests from, right? If you notice in our code, we did not specify a source port, right? We didn't have to. Cool. So you can take a look at all of that stuff if you'd like. I don't think I have anything to add other than taking a look at it like this, what it would actually have looked like if you have Wireshark running. You can see all the requests going through. Cool.